Hello and welcome, I'm Misstical. This is Misstical Gaming. We're jumping into Watcher Realms. Now, let's come and have a look at our new hero. So, let's start at the top quickly. Now, this is him here. He's dual faction, so he's part of the Nightmare faction. I think this could work out quite well with him, with the speed. That could come in quite handy. Promotion, we fully promoted him up. Gear, we haven't got any gear on him. We'll go over some gear at the end. Skills, we'll go over the skills for him. Attributes quickly. I just want to have a look at this. So his attacking default is 3 seconds. I'm going to use him naked to go over his skills. The 3 second mark is important for us. Okay, so AoE physical damage. He does a shed load. I mean, he does a lot of damage. Absolutely fantastic. He does a bucket load of it. He's got displacement because he's a tactician. He's only a ground tactician, so he's only hopping around the ground. And then we've got the allied buff stuff as well. Okay, so that's him in a nutshell. Let's jump in and have a look at some of his skills then, and how he actually works. So we're just going to have a look at his skills, okay? Right, going to jump into the arena, have a quick look at him here so we can see his skills going off. I should be sufficiently out of the way here, so that will work out well. And once the screen is settled, hopefully I'll be far enough out of the way. Right, so here we go. Right, this is his basic attack. It deals 100% AoE damage to the target and up to 5 enemies around the target, okay? Damage to airborne units is reduced by 30%. So, let's have a quick look at the basic attack. This is it here. That's his basic attack there, all nice and easy, no great shakes, okay? That was his first attack, okay? That's his second attack there, okay? Triggers lethal judgment every 12 seconds. So this is done not on how many attacks he has, but over a actual set time. Each basic attack reduces the cooldown by 1 second. Fine. Lethal judgment deals 30% less damage to airborne units. That's the same as the basic attack. Lethal judgment executes enemies with HP below 15%. This effect does not apply to elites and bosses. Okay, that's normal execute stuff. Now, that was his second attack, so we've now got our third attack there, and now we're looking at our fourth attack there. Boom, that's our fourth attack, okay? It was 300% damage, AoE, physical damage, 1 time to up to 8 enemy, and inflicts 2 stacks of radiant erosion for 10 seconds, okay? Well, we can't see the radiant erosion, but if you get little ticks of damage coming off afterwards, that's the radiant erosion going on. And we'll have a look at the radiant erosion procs in a minute. There we go, we just saw one there. Hit for 1,295 points of damage. Okay, right, so this is it, 12 seconds. Remember, he's got a 3 second attack speed, okay? So what's going to happen is we've had 12 seconds. They're going to come round. He's then going to hit them with a lethal judgment. That'll be the first hit. Okay, so the first hit, there you go, boom, lethal judgment. Now, 3 seconds later, there's the first hit, another 3 seconds, next hit, so that's now 6, another 3 seconds, there we go, that's 9 seconds, and another 3 seconds later, that's 12 seconds with the lethal judgment. So, we're definitely getting the lethal judgment every 12 seconds. What we're not getting is each basic attack reducing the cooldown by 1 second. That is not happening for us, okay? So that's a bit of a shame. That's what the lethal judgment does. Works remarkably well, and he does hit hard, and it comes around really often. If they fix the lethal judgment cooldown, then he's going to hit even harder. So anything you do see going to hit harder than he does. This is how it should look as well. So that radiant erosion isn't in red and it's not clickable for us, but this is how it should look. I robbed this from somewhere else. We sent it to the devs to say, look, can you change it and make it look like this, because that'd be nice and easier. And we said we're not getting the cooldown, so hopefully they'll get that corrected by the time he comes around. Okay, so boom, and they get hit. Now the easier way to look at it is if we have a look on a boss. So if we hit the boss, we'll do our hits until we get the lethal judgment off, and once that's hit, we'll then see the debuff on the boss. Okay, so there's lethal judgment coming up now. Boom, there it is, and there is the radiant erosion. That goes on for 10 seconds because it tells us it goes on for 10 seconds. That means with a cooldown, we should be able to reapply that before it goes off, but it's not. It's going on for 10 seconds. It then falls off, and then just after that, it gets reapplied. Off. Now it gets reapplied. So sort of 2 seconds afterwards, which shouldn't be happening. It should be staying on almost constantly because you have 3 hits in between. That should bring it down to 9 seconds. So that's a bit of a blow. So any videos you see, he should be getting these lethal judgments off more often. Right, next passive, let's go and have a look. When the allied heroes enter or leave the range within 2 tiles of the caster, it reduces the cooldown of the lethal judgment by 3 seconds. So it's going to come down to 9 just by putting someone else there. And temporarily increases the casters and the allies' damage by 15, and that by 15 I think should be 15%, because when we have a look at the upgrades it says damage increase by 5%, damage increase by 5%. You should be able to get that from 15 up to 25% for 12 seconds, and also you can get that duration up by 3 seconds and the lethal judgment reduction by +2. Okay, now there we go. So we hit there. And then what we're doing is we're doing our normal attacks and we are waiting to get enough coins. Once we've got enough coins, we can then summon someone else, but without it, we can't do anything. So we hit for 16,180 points of damage there during our lethal judgment. That's the number we're looking at. So when they come round now, we'll have a look at this slowly. The first thing we do is we've had 12 seconds. The first thing we're going to do is lethal judgment. And then we'll place someone down. Bang. Right, that's our lethal judgment gone. We've now got 12 seconds till the next one comes on. We should have less than 12 seconds because we'd reduce for each basic attack going off. And we're now going to reduce it by another 3 seconds by placing someone beside him. So, place someone beside him. Now remember, we were hitting for about 5,000 something. So we now hit for 6,000 and something. So our damage has gone up. It hasn't gone up by 15%. It's gone up by about 13. There we go. And that was our first hit. So we've done our judgment. 3 seconds later, we've done a hit. Next slot. 3 seconds later, another hit. So that's now 6 seconds. Another 3 seconds later, 9 seconds. Okay. And then lastly, boom, we do our judgment. Remember, we're hitting for 16,000. We're now hitting for 18,000. So that has gone up. We're getting that damage increase. Granted, we're only getting damage increase of about 13% and not 15, but there you go. That's our damage going on. So our next one is 12 seconds. Because we put the person down after our lethal judgment first time round, and that goes on for 12 seconds. Or there's a 12-second window between it. So we've just had our next one. Now our buff should have worn off. Our damage should now go down to 5,000. Okay, so here we go. There it is. There was our damage down to 5,000. So if we take that person away, okay, this time we should see our damage go back up to 6,000. Move that person, and then we can attack that again. And there we go. We hit for 6,000 and a bit. So we can see the damage increase going on. Unfortunately, we're not getting that reduction in time. So that is, again, that's gone back to the dev. So hopefully we'll see an improvement on that before it goes live. Now, so wait for our mobs to come round. Now, what we're looking at is the lethal judgment to do the killing. Okay, so there we're coming around, almost got the coinage. There's the coinage. Let's put it down. There we are. Right. So wait for us to come round, and then we will wait on our lethal judgment. So first hit, second hit. That's our lethal judgment. We've still got 4 there, so we haven't killed anyone. Okay, there's our next hit. We killed a load of people there, and there's our next hit there. Okay, absolutely fine. So we've done 2 hits. Now, when this lot of mobs come round, our first hit, because our 12 seconds are ticking away, we're going to wait for our first hit would be the lethal judgment. So first hit coming up, that'd be the big lethal judgment, about 16k. There we go. And then we've got another 3 hits. 1, another 3 seconds, 2, another 3 seconds, next hit, 3, and now we are waiting to kill people, okay? Boom. So we killed someone there, we killed one of them, okay? So that's our next hit. So there's 3 seconds, 6 seconds, that's 9 seconds. So as long as it takes longer than 3 seconds for anything to come around here, which I think it has, then from my reckoning we should get extra range or damage range. So I don't, there we go, they're walking past and this is easily within the 12 seconds, but we're not getting anything, which seems a bit of a shame, and I can't work out why. So I have asked. I think this might be something I'm doing, but to me it doesn't look like. Boom, there's the next one that we get slightly less damage there. They've got a bit more defense, okay? So that's a little bit of a shame. I can't work out how we're going to get that extra damage range. Right, now the other part of that as well is we get an additional rage as well. So we'll whiz past this first bit, we'll speed that up. There we go, we're putting down, do our attacks, and then we trigger off our ultimate as well, okay? So there's the ultimate gone off, and then afterwards, when we start building up some rage, we'll have a look that our lethal judgment is restoring that rage for us, okay? So it's 10 rage at the moment, but we can up it. So we can up that to actually 20 rage for us, okay? So that is a definite possibility, okay? So here we go. Here's our first sort of hit, but unfortunately we're not killing anyone, so we don't get the rage. Remember, it's only if we kill people do we get the rage, okay? So there's the next attack. Boom, there we go. Right, now we've got the next wave coming around, so we'll have to wait until we get this lot, and this time we'll actually get some kills out of it, and we can actually then see the rage jumping up for us, okay? It doesn't jump up by much, but remember how often this is going off and how often it should be going off as well. It should be going off more than we've actually seen it, so that's a bonus. Now you can't see the rage particularly well, so we'll zoom in, and there we go. We can see we're at about 810. Now there's the hit, there was a death, and now we jump up to 840. So definitely, I think we've killed 3 people there, or 3 mobs there, so we get the additional 30 rage. But remember, if you put points into it, then you'd get 60 rage out of it. Now, moving on to the ultimate. This is how I think the talent should work as well, okay? So we're only interested in the bottom part of the ultimate at the moment. We're going to do the top part, which is a bit weird, in a second. Now, this is him. We're put them down, and there we go. Right, the bottom part of the ultimate, okay? So as it reads, okay, basic attack reduces lethal judgment cooldown by additional 1 second, and lethal judgment can be triggered 1 extra time, okay? When triggered, it actually it not can be, it does. It's always triggered twice. I've never seen it triggered just once during the ultimate, and we can see it being triggered, okay? Not well, but there's little workarounds for it, okay? So during the ultimate, boom, okay, within 25 seconds of casting the ultimate, increases attack by 20%, that's good, and each basic attack reduces the lethal judgment cooldown by an additional, now it says additional 1 second, and lethal judgment can be triggered 1 extra time. Now, additional is quite a nice word, because I think that's additional to the talent, but I think this is how the talent should work, okay? So let's play this. We do our normal attack, so there's our first one. Second attack, and then I think this one is this one, third attack, and now we will put on our ultimate. There we go. Right, we've triggered our ultimate. Now there we go. Right, we know it's hit twice because we've got Radiant Erosion. Radiant Erosion has gone on twice. Remember, you can only have a maximum of 3 stacks. We've got our maximum, so we've had 2, and then we've hit again, and we've got the other 2. The easier way to see this is if we have a look at ourselves healing. So if we have a look at it, we'll put Volca down, and there we go. We can see ourselves double healing. So there's 1 hit, 1 heal, and then if we have a look, boom, boom, you can see 2 heals come off, so she's double healed. Now, the other important thing to see is that never drops off. It goes on for 10 seconds. you have a couple of hits in between, reducing that cooldown, okay, down to sort of 9 seconds before you do your next lethal judgment. So then it goes on for the 10 seconds, okay? Have a look. It never drops off, and that is a significant change. We can see it being cooled down there, and then it's back on. Okay, so we get that 9-second cycle round for a 10-second debuff. Never drops off. Absolutely fantastic. I think that's how, for me, that's how the talent reads and should work like that. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be. So we'll hope that it gets fixed by devs before this goes live, or they change the wording. Either way, I mean, if they change the wording for him to work as he is now, he's still fantastic. Okay, right, now the top part of this ultimate can choose and move to an unoccupied ground tile within 3 tiles. Okay, so that's just the displacement part that we get with tacticians. You can move him during the ultimate. Can also move, now this is unique to him, to a ground tile occupied by an allied hero to force their retreat. So if you land on someone else, you will force their retreat. Now, okay, that ally's redeployment time reduces it by 75%, and their next deployment cost by 50%. Okay, that's all a bit weird. Now we're going to have a look at this. Now we can use it to our advantage, which is what we want to do with it. So if we place him down, so we just wait for our coin cost to come back up, we will place him down, there we go, boom. Now there are certain heroes that have sort of a one-off deployment cost, but we're reducing their cooldown for their redeployment by 75%. So that takes the normal 1 minute all the way down to a 15-second part, okay? Now, there's Xena. We'll place her down. It's not important that everyone dies. We place her down, and then she starts using her ultimate. Remember, when you first place her down, she starts firing off her ultimate. That's when she's most powerful, and you can't get it redone. Okay, she uses her ultimate as soon as she goes down, and she doesn't recover any rage for it. She has got an exclusive piece of gear, but it doesn't work because her ultimate doesn't recognise Hell's Le Mans, which is a bit of a shame. But anyway, there we go. That's another story. That's all about Xena. Now, if we trigger the ultimate now, we can come up to Xena's spot. We'll put him facing down so he will attack the mob. She is now forced to retreat, so we can see down there, but a redeployment time is 15 seconds. If you look closely just behind the 15 seconds, you should just be able to make out a redeployment cost is now 8, okay? There we go. So in another less than 10 seconds, we can get her then back up and redeploy her, okay? But the time has come down by 75%. The cost has been reduced by half. Okay, absolutely fantastic. There she is, ready to go again by 8 seconds. It means you can get people like Decimus back round in about 7 seconds. Okay, we'll have a quick look. Bring her around again. So we just wait for these mobs to come past, and then we can put her down again, and she should be able to help clearing off the mobs. Okay, so there we go. We can clear off these mobs here, hopefully. It'll help with a couple. She hasn't got any gear on or anything, but it's just easier to see at slow time. So there we go. We can clear off these mobs there coming round. That we're going to be in his blind spot. Remember, he's got that rather unique field of vision where it's just the one square forward and then it branches out. Okay, so there's nothing beside him. Right, we're almost finishing off those mobs there, and then we can go and then redeploy him again with our ultimate. Okay, so ultimate's nearly ready. There's the ultimate. We will move him over to Xena. There we are there, and we're facing going that way across the map. There, boom, and then he finishes them off. But now when we have a look at her, we can clearly see that she is on a redeployment time of 1 minute, okay? And her cost is 17, okay? So something for you to bear in mind, the cost. It is only a one-time thing, so there are plenty of people you can use who have got redeployment times or have got unique things they can only do once every deployment. So during her ultimate, goes unyielding, boom, one time deployment, I think it is. Absolutely could use it on her. Next, redeployment. Torador, fantastic tank, but you could redeploy him after he's done his died once scenario and then come back to life. You could use it on him, although you'd then end up in a tank situation, which could be a bit of a nightmare for you. I'd build accordingly. And then once he's revived someone again, that's only a one-time thing. You could use it there. People you can't use it on, if we remember, platform-based people. So like Zarus, you couldn't use it on Zarus. You couldn't use it on Gwen when she gets her buff. So at A3 gave it an unyielding. That's only a one-time thing. Okay, so you can't use it on platform-based people. And because everyone's going to ask, let's go and have a look at a couple of things. So what we're going to need, we're going to need some fighters. Okay, so obviously the first fighter we want to have a look at is Volker. She's a 1. You can see that. So we're going to pop her in and then we'll take him out and then we'll put our Xena in. So, and then we'll rerun the fight and we can have a look at what's actually happening here. Okay, so is Volker multiplicative? Do they both count? So with them both on the team, we can have a look and see what we actually get. So we'll wait until we get the 18 coin. Once we've got the 18 coin, we can then put him down and then we will wait until we get the 11 to put her down. Then we'll trigger his ultimate and we can see the redeployment time that we get, okay? If they are additive and they both do the same calculation, then we could see him almost instant. If it's not, then it could be 1 null and void, or it could be the sort of 11-ish, 10, 11 second-ish mark. So just get up the 8 coinage, and then we can place it down. Right, so we can place her down now. There we go, there's Xena. Now, if we trigger our ultimate, okay, there's the ultimate, trigger that. We will come over here and go forward. And then we're looking straight down there at the redeployment time, or we'll be able to see that, hopefully. Go. Boom. So 11 seconds. So what's happening is you get the 75 seconds, you get the big lot to start with. Then we've got that 15 seconds and we're getting a 25% off that. Okay, there we go. That's what happens if you use them both. There's our hero there. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, he hits like a freight train. You're going to see a lot of videos of him maxing damage and things like that, and he will be your top damage dealer by a long way in Matrix. By some margin, he will be your top damage dealer, and we'll do a video about that later, okay? But I just wanted to go over how he works. Now, gearing wise, his ultimate goes on for 25 seconds, so you might want to think about Els Lamont. Everything works off that basic attack for him, so he's absolutely viable for Infernal Roar, depending on where you sit. Okay, skills wise, not getting the cooldown I don't see for the talent, but devs are very much aware of that. A1 works like a treat. Is first passive, we get the rage regen. I can't see the range increase. Maybe that's something I'm doing wrong. So I have asked the devs about it and maybe they'll get back to me and say I'm being an idiot or something. The same with this. Maybe I'm putting them somewhere wrong and there's a different sort of 2 tiles. But for me, the way I read it doesn't read right. And I should, if I get the damage increase, I therefore should have the reduction in the lethal judgment as well. But we'll wait and see what happens when they come back to us. We've got plenty of time before he gets released. Haven't even seen a release date for him yet. I would imagine if we're doing the videos, it's not too far away. Increased damage in the arena. That's his ultimate. Now, the top part, whether that is a bit gimmicky, you can only do it once per his deployment, okay? The next time you do it or you move your ultimate onto someone else that you haven't done when you've already used it, then you don't get the 75% and the 50% again, okay? They just get off into the redeployment area and it's a full 1 minute, okay? So only gets that once. That's it. Do like the ultimate where it puts on more stacks of radiant erosion for you because it does a double hit. I think that's quite nice and it's big damage as well, so that's absolutely fantastic. And you're getting an attack increase if you do all his skills up by 25%, from 20 up to 25%, and he hits like a freight train, like I say. So all the extra damage is absolutely fantastic for him. Awakenings, let's have a quick look at them. So Awakening 1. per battle. The ultimate can trigger the allied redeployment time and cost reduction 1 additional time. So you can do it again if you get to A1, unless you think it's a bit gimmicky where you wouldn't bother. Now, the second part, Awakening 2, you get straight up attack bonus. Then 3, Stormshroud. Okay, now you get the duration by 5 seconds, and that is the extra damage for you and for the ally that you place down beside him. So if you place him down first, and then you start placing allies beside him, they are going to get extra damage. Okay. And then Awakening 3, you're going to get Awakening 4, sorry, you get the extra penetration, which is nice. And then 5, the Lethal Judgment damage multiplier by 120%. So it'll take it from 300 up to 420, and the execute threshold goes up by 5% as well. But again, still can't be used on elites and bosses. Okay, so there we go. That's him. Even if I'm reading it wrong and his skills are just as they are, I would still pull for him. Firstly, he looks brilliant. I mean, well done whoever is in the art department. He looks fantastic, but he works really well as well. He hits like a freight train, and we'll try and do some videos on that later. I wanted to get the skills out so we can see what I think is broken with him and what really doesn't work, but we'll have a look at that later. So there we go. That's my take on him. Would I still pull for him? Even if they change the wording so he worked like he actually is now, then I would still pull for him. He's absolutely fantastic. I love him to bits. Hope I get one. Hope you get one as well. If you pull him, good luck to you. And I'll see you all in a video again soon. Thank you very much for your time. Cheers. Goodbye.